No problem. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to We Have Something to Say. And we are now here with Leonard Watkins and the Zen Kenneth Lively. And he already told me, don't mess up his Zen mood. I'm sorry. Was I able to tell that? Because I got in trouble the last 2 weeks for telling his business. Can I
Oh
say
yeah,
that?
well that's fine. That part is fine.
I just got to make sure because obviously my radar for keeping my mouth shut has been off lately.
Yeah. I hit telling business and shit.
Yeah, I ain't told. Look, I thought nothing. Never mind. There I go again. Never mind. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry we are late, but I was having some connection problems today, so I'm actually on my phone hotspot. Thank goodness for T-Mobile and this strong phone hotspot in my little S21 that still can handle it. Let us be on. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of shit to talk about. As you can probably see, I'm already in a damn cursing mood. So I have no idea what Kenneth wants to talk about. I know what I want to talk about, so I'm gonna let him start, and then maybe I'll just chime in to add my 2 cents. Go, Mr. Lively, you got the floor.
Well, I was on vacation this week, so out of the country, so I barely. I take that back. I could keep up. I was keeping up with what was going on. It was an interesting week to say the least. One thing I want to start with is something that I saw last night. That I just saw it again a few minutes ago. That was funny as hell. So, what's the lady's name that's Department of Education? Is that Linda McMahon?
Linda McMahon.
Yeah,
Or
Linda
Barbara
McMahon.
McMahon. Linda McMahon.
Yeah, she was on a panel
Panel.
discussion
Yep.
with some people about education. I have no idea who these people are. I just know I saw a sister on there with her, and Linda said, she said she read somewhere. She said, I don't know who it's from, but I read somewhere that some school system is going to start teaching their students A1, from kindergarten. So I'm thinking, I'm half paying attention to what she's saying because I just literally just got home. So I'm thinking, listening to them like, I'm in education. I ain't never heard of A1. What the hell? I said they come up with some of the stupidest damn things to do in reference to education. And then because like I said, that may be something I never heard of, so I'm not even thinking on that level. Then the commentator started laughing, and I think it was who was it? It was Ali Velshi. He said it. I saw it on his thing first. He started laughing, and then he said, "She's talking about AI." And I said to myself, hold on now. I know this woman is not that goddamn stupid that she can't tell the difference between a one and an I. You can't be that damn stupid. Seriously, you can't be that damn stupid that you can't tell the difference between a one and an I. And she kept repeating it. I'm like, this is the person that's running the Department of Education? Does she even have an education? But she's running an entire government agency and firing well qualified people. Somebody I know personally, just got a separation letter the other day. They work for the Department of Education. A separation letter. And I'm saying to myself, and if I'm not mistaken, either he already has his doctorate or he's about to finish up his doctorate. But you got this crazy woman who doesn't know the difference between a one and an I running the entire Department of Education, getting $200,000 a year, a multimillionaire, and she doesn't know the difference between a one and an I. We're in trouble, man. We're in trouble. Our kids don't have a chance in hell at this damn point with people like that running it.
She got a bachelor's degree in French.
Well, even in French, an I and a one don't look the same.
I just let you know. She got a bachelor's degree in French. She don't have a PhD in education, and
She don't have no damn PhD.
It's never run
But
an
I mean,
education
it's just
department. Never been a principal. Never has been a superintendent. Never has been a teacher. None of that. never been a head of a teachers union, has no experience in education whatsoever.
No, she doesn't. She just lucked up and got married a guy who started a fake wrestling thing. That's her only qualification. Her and her husband started that fake ass wrestling thing. Now, for those of you who really believe that wrestling is real, I apologize for busting that bubble. You know that image that you have in there, but it ain't real. It's
She
fake.
used to be the Small Business Association administration member in his first term.
I just don't understand. I can't. Why can't
Yes,
I
you
see
do.
this?
You understand. You fully understand.
It just amazes me that this is the person that's running our government, running our Department of Education, and it is par for the course about who's running the government. Period. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. I can't see any comments today. Oh,
Uh,
there it is. I see him. I see him now.
Marion had a
I didn't
comment.
see him before. Yeah, no, that's why I was waiting on Marion to have a comment, but it didn't come up.
Marion, you could come on the show today if you got your email working right. I can send you an invite so people
And
can see.
and Marion has a point. She's loyal to Trump. That's it. That's the only qualification that she has. And at this point, I won't have to say they have to be white because you got Cash Patel in there, and that dude running HUD, who just at least he works a little bit with homelessness and things of that nature. The black guy that's running HUD,
What's his name?
but
Ron Carter? He does?
he was doing he was doing something dealing with either feeding the homeless or something like that in Florida. He's a former football player.
Yeah, he is. But
Um,
shit, I don't know what the hell you talk. Oh, let's see what he did. I got this. You keep talking. I'm gonna put
Because
him up.
I saw something he got on Trump's radar because he came on and started talking bad about, as usual, talking bad about the black woman, and that got on Trump's radar.
Of
That's
course,
that's all he did.
of course.
That's all he did. I mean, it was nothing. But at least he does have some experience because he ran a nonprofit organization dealing with homelessness or something to that effect in Florida, and that's how he got on the radar. I remember that. I do remember
Scott
that.
Turner. Scott Turner is an American businessman, motivational speaker, a former professional football player. He served as executive director, who served as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Keep talking. Let's find out what he got. Let's see what Education University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign.
Who he
I'm
played for?
listening. Go ahead.
I just know he was a pro football player and he ran this
State rep.
organization and they talked to him.
He's a state rep. Um, uh, uh, Political career.
Well, actually, Marion, what you're talking about, and Marion done brought up something that's deep into the woods. The original Aryans were from India in that area. They weren't from Europe. What's his name? Hitler and them took over that mantle of being Aryans. The original Aryans were not from Europe. They were from the Middle East. So they are Aryans. The rest of them are the fake ones. But like I said, it's this. You have unqualified people running agencies that don't know that one, they're unqualified, and two, they have no idea what they're doing, and it's not rocket science. Really and truly, when you're the head of a federal agency, for the most part, you're a figurehead. Now, you do have to have some basic knowledge of what's going on, but for the most part, you're a figurehead. You're the face of that organization. So when they come up and say stupid stuff like this, now it doesn't hurt that you have a background in that, but in that field or know something about it. But you got to think about when on Trump's first term, who did he put in as HUD secretary? Ben
Carson.
Ben Carson. Ben Carson's only qualification to be head of HUD was that he lived in the projects when he was a kid. That's it. Oh, and he's, I guess, black. So he's black, and he lived in the projects when he was a kid. That makes him qualified to be director of HUD. No legislative experience, no experience with housing or urban or development or anything like that. Now,
Well,
if he had been Yeah, made him head of the CDC or Health and Human Services Director or something like that. I would have applauded. That would have been a good choice to me.
The
It would make more.
CDC.
I mean, at least he has a medical background.
Who?
I'm talking about Ben Carson.
Oh, okay. I still thought we were talking about Turner,
No,
Scott
I'm
Turner.
talking about they have. I'm talking about you point people to positions that they're not qualified for. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the current health
Got it.
secretary is black. I did say that.
I'm trying to be the producer while you talking, so
I noticed. I noticed. You just missing out on shit.
yeah, I'm trying to make sure we have all our information straight.
And I'm trying. You know what? And I'm trying to figure out why Marion is just saying that he's black. We already said that, Marion. You way behind, brother. Catch up.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, Ken have been on vacation. He just spit now. He just going on every tangent. Pew, pew, pew. And me and Marion and myself, we just trying to keep up. Like, okay, what's he talking about?
But I'm
What
still talking about the same thing: unqualified people being head of federal
happens
agencies.
when you
That's
go
what
on
I'm
a
talking about.
cruise by yourself?
Hey, it's like that. It's like that,
The
and that's the way
smorgasbord.
it is.
It's a smorgasbord of different foods.
You know what? You know something funny? I'll tell you about it. Every night I ate pizza. We had regular dinner. We had regular dinner, and then as a late night snack, I had pizza every night. Don't ask me why. Because it was there.
Harriet comes in and says, "Where's Senator Tim Scott?" y'all, y'all are just off the chain today. We don't know what we talking about.
Well, where do you expect him to be?
I'm just the producer trying to keep up.
I'm saying, Harry, where do you expect him to be? I mean, he's doing and saying what he normally says. None of this stuff is he's not doing anything or sharing or saying anything he hadn't done before. He's in the same place that he's always been in. But the that particular story they talked about Linda McMahon, just I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. Makes no sense whatsoever that she's in charge of that. And then you have the people who are. There was another story I saw that was quite interesting. The guy, the head of the Labor Department, requested 24-hour security.
No,
Now,
not Labor Department. Dan Bongino.
yeah, he did too. No, the Labor Department did too. Both of them did.
Oh wow, I didn't hear
And
the
the
Labor.
Labor Department guy, they said that the Labor Department didn't have the budget to provide him 24-hour security or protection security, which was in turn which would be federal marshals. Federal marshals protection 24 hours a day. So they said they had to put out put out there that they were hiring for that position or get 6 people for that position because they didn't have enough people to do it. And it's somebody, I'm thinking like nobody even knows who the head of the Department of Labor is. Nobody knows who he is. But he's firing people, like all federal agencies, they're firing people for no reason. Then you turn around and say, okay, I need 6 people to come back, or I need 6 people to take care of me 24 hours a day because, as he said, he's getting mean looks in the office from people. That's why he needs 24-hour protection because people in the office, professionals in his department, are looking at him like, you motherfucker. That shit makes no sense to me, man.
None of it makes sense. I wanna piggyback on that and then go to what's been going on the last 3 days that me and Marion have talked about a couple of times as we call each other and go, man, these MFs are crazy. Number one, Dan Bongino did request 24-hour security. The associate director of the FBI. I think he wants 20 agents. The last associate director of the FBI they talked about this last night had a part-time agent that escorted him to planned events. Dan Bongino just asked for 20 agents to escort him in and out of every building 24 hours while he sleeps and out of every federal building, including he wants 24-hour protection while he's in the FBI building. These folks are insidious. What I do want to talk about is the roller coaster ride of the president And somebody at an investment bank posed this question last night that it leaked and said, "Is the president really insane? Has he had a mental break?" And because the president decided to impose 125% tariffs on China because Ron Navarro, who they've now proven over this last week, if you didn't know it, Ron Navarro got his job because Jared Kushner went on Amazon and looked up books about tariffs for China and found a book by Ron Navarro who said that he was quoting some expert called Ron Barra, which is really an anagram for Ron Navarro. And throughout this whole book, there is no expert, and he is your trade czar. So what happened, if you don't understand, with the president starting off with these tariffs, what people don't know is that the new prime minister of Canada is the former Federal Reserve head of Canada. So he knows all about banking. And so if you notice him lately, and I'm getting to a point, they have plenty around to pull all the other security details. Yes, Don, they do. If you notice, Canada has not been pulling any punches. They are a nation of 39 million people, and he's already said that they won't be bullied. So what he did was this. So this is what happened. This is what happened with the markets. When the president was getting out there thumping his chest, because I want to get to a point here. The president's out there thumping his chest because we are a $32 million economy. China's 19 trillion. And they were supposed to catch up with us in 10 years. So the president got out there and started talking about all these tariffs. So what the prime minister of Canada did was, because the president also has put tariffs on Japan and South Korea, the three biggest major holders of bonds of the United States, 10-year Treasury bonds and 20-year Treasury bonds, which are the gold standard around the world, are the European Union at 1.2 trillion, Japan at 1 trillion, and Canada at 380 billion. So he went to Japan and said, and European Union and said, hey, look, I know how to now make them sit their asses down. And this is what happened. We'll start dumping their treasury bonds, which then makes the United States dollar not the currency of the world. When we start dumping their 10-year treasury bonds, it gives confidence, it loses confidence, and people start looking elsewhere to invest their money. That's what they started doing on Monday. A boss move. So what ends up happening to everybody, in case you don't do a deep dive in this is the simple reason. It affects every aspect of the American economy. Every aspect. There's not a part of the American economy that's not affected by the 10-year and the 12-year treasury bond. Because that's where people put their money because they say it's safe. Well, they start dumping it. Japan in particular. The president had to blink. So did Ron Navarro. Because it started tanking the dollar. See, before they were trying to tank the dollar. Control tank. The president and his advisors. These motherfuckers are not that smart. Lutnick, they're just lying to you. Bessett, all these billionaires are not that smart. They're just an egotistical, insidious motherfuckers. So Canada said, oh, we got something for you. So he had to blink. That's why there was the pause. But in between the pause, because Marion called me, if once he announced this, stocks started tanking. And the billionaires could buy up some of the cheaper stock, which is why you saw Marjorie Greene Taylor going and start buying up stock of all these people that were tanking. Right. Restoration Hardware.
Buying up stock, yeah.
Right, Lululemon. And so when he pulled the tariffs back and it went up back up 9% because they had lost, no, it went up like 2% because they had lost. Marion, tell me about that. Yeah, China too. China hadn't started dumping. China, according to reporting, China hadn't really started dumping their treasury bonds, but Japan and Canada were, with the backing of the European Union. Because they were like, you can't negotiate with a bully. You got to punch him in his goddamn face. Because he's a bully. And he's trying to run it like a mob boss. And like China said last night, because I meant to send you this yesterday, the Chinese finance minister was on a podcast and they asked him about it. And he said, China's not blinking. And she said, you go to the brink. He said, we're not going to blink. We don't give a damn what the United States does. And his response, and this is what he added on to it. China has been around for 5,000 years. The majority of the United States, didn't even exist. You don't think that we can do it again? You don't can do it again?
They
So
don't need the
China said,
United States.
right. China said, we've been here before you, we'll be here after you. So he had to blink. So when he blinked, the stock started going up for all those people that were doing insider trading. All the people in the know. Marjorie Green Taylor, which she said, hey man, my portfolio is run by, I've relinquished my portfolio to a trustee. But y'all don't think she called him? But here's the kicker for me, because I always bring it back to us. We ain't got nobody at the table. It ain't nobody at the table that looks like me or you. Nobody at the table. So I watched a podcast. Kenneth, I'll send it to you. Marion, I'll send it to you. With Roland Martin on native land with Angela Rye and Tiffany and the other guy, the former Florida Tuscaloosa mayor. And Roland was
talking. You mean Tallahassee mayor?
Tallahassee. Roland was talking about this. Y'all saying y'all gonna sit it out. Y'all ain't even in the fucking parking lot. And this strategy of saying we're going to be silent is going to kill you. And this is what Roland said on the Native Land podcast. At the end, he said, okay, we lost the election. She lost. Okay, we did it. Get fucking over it. You ain't even in the parking lot. And they want you to be that way. They want you to be silent. They want you to bow their head. They want you to come up with this dumbass strategy of saying, I'm going to sit it out. That's exactly where they want you. As they take away your rights, right after right after right of people, me at my age particularly, because I was born in 1965, that was the first people who had benefit from the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Because you were actually miraculously help me. I came on here today to ask Kenneth, because maybe I can't lean onto my own understanding. I asked Marion, show me the strategy of us sitting it out. What does that lead to? Maybe I can't see it. Maybe I'm biased. I just want somebody to help.
Well, it depends on what I've been trying to figure out what they're saying, what they mean by sitting out. What are they saying? They're not going to.
They aren't going to participate. They aren't going to be loud. They're going to just go on vacation. We're just going to sip our tea. We're just going to mind our business. Well, guess what? Gary Chambers just showed you that in Louisiana. You can't mind your own business, because while you were trying to mind your own business in Louisiana, thank God for Louisiana voters. Thank God for them. Thank God for Gary Chambers. Thank God for Gary Chambers. Because they were about to ram through 4 bills that damn near would have decapitated Black power in Louisiana. Any that you had left. Thank God they woke up and realized, I got to get in the game with my vote. And defeated all 4 of those amendments. Because they were going to decapitate any Black influence in the state of Louisiana. They want you to be silent. They, like Roland said.
Okay, but hold on. This is the thing.
Go for it.
Because this is 2 different, in my opinion, 2 different fights.
Help me understand.
One is the one fight that, or the stuff you just mentioned, is on a level that's way above all of us. Global economy. That's one thing. I understand sitting that part out because we have no say in that anyway. We really have nothing to say. We have no influence in that. We can't control. Those are governments that's way above our pay grade. So that one I kind of understand. The other part of it about what they're saying about sitting out stuff.
Can I ask a question about that before you go on to the next one? Are you suggesting? Are you suggesting? And I'm just asking. I'm really trying to be open about it. Are you suggesting that African Americans have no leverage on the economic power and the economic might of the world? Is that what you said?
What I'm saying is this was going to get to my other point. Because what I'm thinking is the 2 of them, I'm thinking of as separate things. And I may be wrong on that. I'm not that smart, so I may be wrong about this shit. And the economics is not my field. I got a lane. I stay in my lane. I don't go in that lane over there because it ain't my lane. But we have control over. Black people in this country have control over the economics of this particular country in controlling whether or not businesses suffer on whatever level. We have the power of our boycott, the power of our dollar controls whether or not these companies are viable. We've seen that. If all reports are correct, the amount of money, just look at Target in and of itself. If those reports of how much, you kept seeing different dollar amounts of how much they've lost over the last few months, if those things are correct, then our economic power, economic buying power, our buying power has a direct effect on different countries. Now, the thing about an economic boycott, I agree with that. Don't spend your money where it's not wanted. And something else that you've been going to, something I saw right before I came on, actually, something I saw. There was a fundraising letter sent to somebody Black from the University of Michigan, an alumni, and they wrote on the alumni on the fundraising letter, and I guess sent it back to Michigan. Says no DEI, no money. Basically, I'm not giving you any money because you capitulated to Donald Trump. We're not doing that. We're not playing that game with you. We're not going to give you any more alumni dollars if you're going to treat the students and the alumni and future students in that manner. And I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's transfer some of that. Let's send some of that money to HBCUs. Send some of it to there. And it goes along, too, with sending their athletes. Send some of them there. Now, I will say this. One of the reasons why I disagree with you on the athlete thing, on the athletic thing, is because
you know me.
The reason,
you know me.
Yeah, I know.
You know me.
The reason why I disagree with you on that,
know me.
Because if you have all these 5-star athletes, top tier athletes going to HBCUs, the other students, the other athletes, 2 and 3 tier students, student athletes, will get pushed out.
Okay, you have misquoted what I said, and I can understand why though. And I'm gonna tell you what I said. And
Okay.
before you do that, I wanna read what Don Marshall said, which is, as far as I can figure, the theory is that Black people stay on the front lines trying to defend everyone else's rights and freedoms is try to force others to fight. So Don, let me ask you this. And I'll ask Kenneth this. Are you suggesting that there's been some historical precedent that says other people will look out for us? Where have you seen that at?
I don't think that's what he's suggesting.
Wait. It's to try and force others to fight. I can just go by the words on my screen.
Yeah, but hold on. I don't think he's saying force them to fight for us. Force them to fight for the damn.
Okay. Wait.
That's what I think he's saying. Because we're always fighting for everyone else's rights. We're always fighting for everyone else's rights, and they benefit from our fights. But they don't when it comes to shit for us, they don't fight. So he's saying, you know what? Y'all got y'all shit. Y'all got yourself in this bullshit. So get yourself out of this bullshit. We're gonna sit back and let you figure this out for yourself.
I'm gonna say again. Good. You saying what he's saying. I'm gonna ask y'all both again. Are you suggesting that when they figure their shit out, that they're gonna come back and look out for us? That's what I'm asking. Let's say they figure it out.
I don't think we're doing that. I don't think they're gonna come back and look out for us. Leonard.
So who's doing it?
We've seen this movie before. We've been in this movie before. We were the headliners in this movie. As much as they try to tell us that we are as much as they try to tell us that we're going to be on the worst end of this, which may or may not be true. We've seen this movie before. We've been in this movie before. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right.
What does that look like?
What do you mean?
What is you gonna be all right look like? Not all. This issue is getting them off of their asses. What does that look like when you say we're gonna be all right? Because here's
Because
the
we're
reality.
going to at some point, we're going to.
Here's the reality of it as an educator. Wait. Here's the reality of it as an educator for you and Don. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm one of those people that I don't believe in trying to reinvent the wheel. What I like to do is go to people that's been doing this all their lives. I always tell people that Roland is my go-to guy because Roland always asks the question. He always has the stats. And if you get a chance to watch the Native Land podcast with Roland, Angela Ryan, and Tiffany Cross, watch it because Roland goes into a deep dive. And let's talk about
Love
education.
both of them.
And Roland starts talking about education and starts talking about what he calls the bank of justice is empty because our generation, he's talking about himself, haven't put in any deposits. And he starts talking about the stat that came out last week that only on HBC campuses, only 26% of the people on HBCU campuses are African American males. And then they get into a deeper stats that says, well, really across the country, because the provost for Howard, who deals with admissions, goes on and says, no, it's not just HBCUs, it's across the board, all over the place. That we're down from a low of 32%. I think he said 1982. Now we're down to 26% African American males. So then Roland jumps to us as well. You know what? You're looking at the end. Let's go and look at the beginning. Let's go and look how they defunded schools now for the last 50 years. And let's start with African American schools and middle. It starts with pre-K, kindergarten, middle school, high school. He's like, this is just a consequence of what they've been doing to Black people for the last 50 years. So
Yeah.
he goes into a deep dive and says, this what we have to deal with right now is it's not a 2-year fix. This is now a 20-year fix. We're gonna have a 20-year fix because now they've gotten us in this position. And he starts talking about people who are saying they're gonna sit down because he says you could talk a good game, but what's your game plan? Okay, so what I want to do, because I know I'm all over the place, but Don has put up a couple of great points. What I want to deal with, because Kenneth is going to say, Lunch, you can't do that with the athletes, because Kenneth knows exactly where I was going, which is I say, well, shit, I don't see leverage for us in any way but sports and entertainment, because
But that's the point. And the only reason, like I said, okay, go ahead.
I just want to be clear. I didn't say all 5-star athletes should go just to HBCUs. What I did say was that 5, 3, 5, 4, and 3-star athletes should only go to those states that are not trying to oppress us. That's what I did say. I would never suggest that you
Yeah,
should.
but hold on. See, I know that you did say that.
Right.
You did say that. You did say that. But I've said that before, and I was about to make that point that you were only talking about those in southern states for the most part. But now, due to Trump getting back in office, now these Big Ten schools are doing the same thing. They're doing the exact same thing, and as I don't know if I said this to you before. I think I have, but I'll say this: having gone to 2 HBCUs, Tuskegee and Morgan State, then I went to Cornell, then I went to University of Massachusetts, and then I went to Clayton State. Clayton State is I didn't hang out, but when I was at Cornell and UMass in the 90s, both of those schools, Black students were protesting because of their treatment on the campus. So it's not just Southern schools that's a problem. And I wanted a study I saw years ago, and I thought that was quite interesting. And I had this discussion with somebody years ago too about it. Here it is at HBCUs. Let me ask you something. When you were at Morehouse,
right?
Did y'all ever have a protest about how y'all were being treated in terms of racism on campus?
Racism on campus? No.
Yeah.
No.
Never had anything like that.
Never.
That's that back in the 90s and even probably to this day, that is a common occurrence on PWIs, unfortunately. So it's not just the ones in the Southeast. We're talking about areas, we're talking about the all parts of the United States at PWIs. There's a problem like that. And it comes up every few years when students are protesting. So the fact that you're only focusing on SEC schools or schools in the South or whatever, not this is an issue that transcends regions.
So why would
It's all of them.
so here's my point. I'm glad you said that. I want you and Don and Marion to answer this. What is this drive that we have that if we know this is going to happen and we know our kids are going to be subject to this, and this is what some people are talking about desegregation. The point of desegregation wasn't to diminish us, it was just to give us access to stuff that we were already due, which was taxation without representation. So if I know I'm going to, what is the drive? How about let's be specific. Let's be specific because I want to go.
You want to be specific or
Pacific?
You want to be Pacific or specific? Pacific or specific?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was too easy. I had to say so. I
started laughing because I saw this white comedian yesterday talking about he went to a black movie with black people, and if you ever want to have some fun, be the only white person in the theater. So he went to see the movie Open Water, where the couple gets left out in the ocean, and it was a black girl sitting behind him going, they went scuba diving. And so he started laughing. So she said, "What the hell are you laughing at?" And she said, "They did go scuba diving." So he turned around. He said, "Yeah, I only go snorkeling." So getting back to our point, what is the drive for any 5-star African American athlete to go to the University of Mississippi or Mississippi State? Knowing how.
Well, now it's the NIL deals, NIL. That's it.
I would
That's
never
it. It's
see
money.
My son told me he wanted to go to the Mississippi State University of Mississippi for an NIL deal of $3 million. I slap him in his face. I said, "You're going to take your ass to Colorado. You're going to go to USC. You're going to go to UCLA. You're going to go anywhere but a state that treats your community like they sub slaves. And you think I'm going to let you take a chance to go off campus outside the football field where nobody knows your ass and get caught up in that bullshit. I won't pay for, you're not going to pay for our oppression." I don't understand the drive. And Marion talked about all this. I don't understand drive. If Florida right now, think about this, y'all. You couldn't even had a Final Four without African Americans. Neither side, men or women. Three schools in the Final Four for the men's. 3 schools have put in oppressive voting policies in their states for black people. Texas, Alabama, and Florida. Texas, they generated, I think the contract for the NCAA men's Final Four, the new one is like $10.6 billion over a 10-year period. If you want to pay for your oppression, you can go and make, let me be clear about this. You and Don know this. Everywhere the black players go, the white players follow him. Cooper Flagg would have never went to Duke if he don't think he can compete against black players. Ain't happening. The top white quarterbacks are never going to a school whereas he don't have the top black wide receivers, the top black running backs, the top black O-linemen.
You think so?
There is not one athlete ever whose ego is not big enough, small enough to say, I got to compete against the best. And right now, the best across the board, I'm not talking about in specific positions, basketball and football, we let baseball go. It became too expensive. It's like going to Brazil and playing soccer. You will never know if you're the best soccer player if you don't play Brazilians. Never, ever. That's why everybody wants to play them all. We are paying for our oppression. And until those coaches start saying where they sit politically, Bruce Pearl for Auburn, the number one ranked team in the country, is a furious MAGA acolyte. He is a out and open Donald Trump supporter. Why the fuck would I send my son to play for Bruce Pearl? Ever.
Because their parents just looking for the money. They're looking for
Right.
the come up.
Right. No problem. There is money at every other school that states do not promote that. Utah just got the BYU just got the top ranked basketball player in the country for 2025. Because billionaires are egotistical. They want winning teams. You will change. It's the same policy me and Marion talked about this. So this is why I don't agree with you and down on this. They will change their policy so quick. And if you don't believe that, all you got to do is go back to Marion, correct me, 2014, when Alabama made the decision that they were going to, Kenneth, you remember this? We talked about this. Crack down on migrants in Alabama. Remember that? And over a 3 week
No, that was
period,
Florida. That was Florida.
Alabama first. Remember, because there was a ghost town, all the Hispanics left the state and moved to Florida. All the Hispanics. So what the
No, I thought they moved to Florida. I thought it was Florida that they moved out of.
Well,
I know it happened in Florida.
That's why we got to get these powerful computers we got. It's happened in Alabama first, if I remember. And they begged the General Assembly in Alabama, we can't, y'all, we got $1 billion of fruit about to rot here because y'all done chased away all the work.
Huh?
And the Alabama state legislature changed that law.
No, that definitely was Florida because Florida is the one with the fruit. Alabama doesn't really grow fruit.
Alabama got a $1 billion fruit industry.
And what?
I'm about to pull it up for you. You know, I don't like just talking off the top of my head.
Well, you doing it now.
You keep talking. I'll pull it up since you make me produce. You could have just told me you want the floor. You didn't have to make me look up shit, but that's okay. You cheat now. You cheat now.
Well, I mean, it's and you're right. Whether it was Alabama or Florida, although I know it's Florida, the money, the old saying says money walks, bullshit. Money talks, bullshit walks. That's what they're doing, and we're seeing that. That is the reason, which makes no sense about what Trump is doing in terms of trying to tank the economy. I mean, I understand the stock market doing that because they want to short sell, get all those stocks and all that, buy those stocks for cheap and all that. Which I read somebody say that's a good thing to do. Now is the time to buy stock, not sell it, or not sell it. No, because you won't lose your money, but buy as much as you can. Which I need to figure out how to. I need to talk to somebody about doing that because I need to come up. But anyway, this is the time to buy it. So,
hey, $77.3 billion to the state's economy.
Okay, now what is Florida's?
Go ahead, keep going.
And you talking about fruit or just agriculture? Period.
Agriculture period, where you need a lot of money.
Yeah, I was talking about fruit. We were talking about fruit, but let's go by the same thing. Florida's probably double that.
Let's do Florida's produce industry. How about that? Go ahead. Keep going.
So, I mean, what I'm saying is that you made me miss my point. You know, I can't think too much on my feet no more. Anyway, when we start talking about the economic part of all of this, trying to get them to figure out. Damn, I lost my point altogether. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still tired from that damn long day of travel I had yesterday. But what we need to do, be consistent in our protests. Be consistent. And the only problem I have with your theory of the 5-star athlete or whomever going to other schools, that eventually the second and third tier students as student athletes and the first tier student athletes. Those are, that's not top 5, top 10 or whatever in the nation, or top 100 in the nation. They're going to lose out, and I don't want them to lose out because they may have aspirations of going pro. Majority of them, 99.99% of them will not. But that education they receive, that degree they receive, can help propel them through the rest of their life. And I don't want them to lose out on that because the other athletes are the other athletes are moving down to D2 and D3 schools. I don't like that. I really don't like that because we're losing out. I know plenty of people who've gone to, and you have too, gone to college at these Division II, Division III schools, got a good education. Now that they're very successful in life, and it wasn't paid. It was paid for by them playing sports.
Well, I'll ask you this. I'll ask you, Marion and Don, this. What good is having a damn good education if you have no political might? Okay, you got education.
Okay, now you talking. They talking about something totally different. What do you mean by political might?
What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying, I think I've been pretty consistent with what I'm saying, and I get it that some people think it's radical. I mean, I would love to have a different way out. I hate being in this spot. I hate that our community is in this spot. I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it. I can't stand that our community is in this spot. I can't stand that we stopped working and as Roland would say, we forgot that this thing that these rights that we got were not set in stone, that we had to consistently fight for. I can't stand it. But I will say this, in my opinion, right now, Black people just the only way we're going to come out of this is to get used to the idea of being uncomfortable, and to lean into the idea of being uncomfortable. We're going to, at the SAVE Act. You're right. The SAVE Act is a part, but it always comes back down to the test tube babies, which are African American community. And the truth of the matter is, we don't want to make any sacrifice to say that's going to move the needle. We don't. That's just the way I see it. I mean, I'm open to being convinced differently.
Okay, you said sacrifice. What sacrifice are you talking about?
The only way that you make people stop, particularly people who are the majority in this country, is by the leverage that you have, and it's to hit them in their pockets.
Right, that's what we're saying. That
has to be an all-encompassing thing, because when you sit there and you look at a spectacle, because I don't have any other word for it, that's the NCAA basketball tournament that generates all this money per year. All this money, so much so that they're about to do a $2.5 billion settlement. I think just got approved, which should be more than that. The only thing that's going to stop them, we said this before, Kenneth, you and I have had this conversation before. We can go back to the Colin Kaepernick thing. You and I have talked about this. The Colin Kaepernick thing could have easily been resolved if 80% of the NFL, which is African Americans, had said, I won't show up to play on Sunday. He would have had a job on Saturday. He would have had a job on Saturday. He literally would have had another job on Saturday. All that stuff they were saying, if those players had just said, no, you just dead as wrong about that. I mean, he didn't do it. You might not like it, but it's freedom of speech. He didn't do anything dishonorable about it. And we make a lot of money. But man, at the end of the day, if we don't stand up for him, y'all will come back and do that to all of us. So until you put it in place, and they could have just said, we're not going to show up. All they do is
that shit wasn't going to happen. That's pie in the sky. That's pie in the sky, man.
I did not say that.
Yeah.
I did not
but
say
you. But see, the thing is,
still talk about him.
Let's say this. Okay. I think we need to be oh god, the way we kind of do it now, being strategic and showing our economic power is, I think, one of the best ways for us to do it. Because there's an impossibility to get rid of all of these companies, stop going to all of these companies that, as we said, got rid of DEI or whatever, doing. It's an impossibility because all of them are intertwined. You have to do some serious research, and almost for the most part, like, let's say this. the perfectly good example, your Walmart thing. Walmart's the only grocery store near you. If Walmart wasn't there, that area, the West End, would be a food desert. And for that year, how many years was it going? Like 2, 3 years, something like that.
It was sat there burnt for about that fire started was like 2.5 years ago, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah. So for the 2.5 years that it wasn't occupied, your neighborhood was a food desert. And I used to work over there, so I know how intricate, how important that grocery store was to that neighborhood. Because there is no other grocery store. The closest one is about what, 20 minutes in a car, something like that. What is it, Kroger or something like that?
In Atlanta traffic, yeah, you could have said
about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And on a bus, that's over an hour on a bus.
Easily.
And then you know, on a bus, you can only carry so many groceries. So all of that stuff right there, and Uber ain't cheap. So it's those things like that. We have to be strategic in what we do. Do what you can when you can.
I agree on that. I agree on that.
So it's the term. Getting back to our original point about the original discussion about the global economic situation. All we can do is do our part.
Which is what?
The global.
That's the point.
Huh?
Which is what? That's what I'm asking. You're right. We back to the original point. When people say this to me, I ask them, "What does that look like?" I agree with you, but now tell me what it looks like. Like let me because
I don't know.
I think what Don. That's the point. I think what Don just said is very, very, very something that should be addressed, which is notice there weren't any armored cops at the protest last week. I saw a white lady say the same thing. Said, I went to the protest and I noticed there were no armored cars or police or riot gear. And then she said to myself, she says, and I'm a liberal progressive. I turned around and I was like, damn. But there are no black people here either. No black people here either. There's really few black people out here protesting.
Oh yeah.
So I get. She says now I see what they're saying. She's like, I because I believe that there were black people here, there would be armored cops, blah 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 blah. Now she got creamed in the comments by black people, which was dumb because she was sitting there acknowledging, hey, I finally starting to see it. But what I would say to you is this, and I know we're running out of time. What I would say to you and Don is this, because me and Marion have talked about this. The unintended consequence of that, if that's going to be the strategy, this is what Roland was talking about. If that's going to be the strategy, and majority, I don't know if these are bots, but I've seen a lot of people say it, is to understand that when it shakes out, if it shakes out, you are relying on the goodness of another group of people to let you back at the table. That's the unintended consequences.
Right now, there is no table.
No problem. No problem.
I mean, if whether we participate in the protest, or not, it's, and I understand when people say we shouldn't be out there protesting because we've been doing it for years and it's never got anything with us.
That's
now they're up. I mean, well,
statement.
let's say this.
That is not a
I'm talking about. Hold on. But let me say what I'm finished. What I'm saying. Let me clarify my statement. Let me clarify.
Go for it. All right.
The clarification is I'm talking about over the last few years. I'm not talking about in the past. But the last few years.
I give you that. Go ahead.
We've been out there and nothing has changed for us. Matter of fact, it's gotten worse. So we're saying, why put our lives in danger? Why worry about whether or not we're going to be shot? Blah, 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 so on and so forth. When we participate, nothing gets done. Y'all let this happen. So now y'all have to figure it out. And then once y'all figure out the pain, once y'all figure out the pain, because that's another thing. They've never felt the pain. Now they're starting to feel the pain. And we were like, okay, welcome to my neighborhood. We've already been here. So now you understand. Now let's once you start feeling this pain and you get out there and protest and all that, you understand the consequences of it. We'll come back and join the party.
I want
But
to.
up until that point, until y'all, all of y'all, and the masses of y'all really figure this out, understand this, we just gonna sit this out and let y'all feel this heat. The
Okay.
heat we're already feeling.
Okay. I'm a firm believer in following the majority, and I'm a firm believer in dealing with the consequences or the benefits that majority come up with. I'm a firm believer in that. Why are we pretending like the others shouldn't feel it? I have never said that others shouldn't feel it, but I am very, very pragmatic on where we are as a community in this country. Very pragmatic, and none of y'all, you don't, none of y'all, none of you all have done anything to disavow me of that feeling. And this is it: we're 47 million in this country, with 34 million registered black voters. 34 million are registered black voters. We can barely, St. Louis just proved this the other day. We can barely get 25% of us to vote. We're always somewhere between 25 and 30%. It's somewhere. Sometimes, and people always say, boy, we're in deep trouble. We're going to get 25% of us to vote. We can barely get them to vote. You have no other place to go. I keep screaming to the top of my lungs. For me, I always look at the worst case scenarios. If shit hit the fan, where can we go? Which is one reason why Israel is so ruthless in keeping that land that they have right now. Because for years, Anunnaki Jews had nowhere to go. They had no land base. We have none. We are not getting back invited into Africa the way people keep saying, with full rights of citizens. It's called the right of return. Even though our cousins sold us over here, it's for the full right of return. You literally are almost checkmated. So now what you're saying is, what I'm hearing is, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, because I like to think I'm a decent thinker. What you're saying is, let's just sit it out and see how it goes, and trust the process that they'll come around and say that once they feel the pain, they'll understand the way we're feeling, and then they'll start being fair and righteous to us across the board. That's basically what we're saying. If 70% black voted, a huge chunk would, absolutely. If 70% of black voters voted, a huge change would be made. Absolutely. We strategically
saying that long.
Yeah,
shit, if we can get up to 60, we can change that.
Change.
Yeah,
so
I mean that, and we've been saying that for a few years.
Yes, we've been saying that.
We've literally been saying that.
But
if we had, like, even the legislators in all the southern states would look totally different if we voted. Totally different.
So combine that. So the way I see it is to combine that. So we don't vote in the numbers supposed to vote in, because that's why North Carolina in the last election, was lost, because the people who were going to be affected the most, the Black African American vote was down. St. Louis mayorship was lost I think Roland said last week, because African Americans didn't come out to vote, even though they knew they were going to pay the biggest cost. They didn't come out to vote. In Louisiana, black folks finally woke up and said, whoa, we taking a lot of shit, but if you pass those 4 laws, we're going to be in the shits. So black people came out and voted at 38%. Nothing passed. It got totally defeated. So don't tell me marching and being loud does not change it. So, but if that's the strategy, that's the strategy. And it just means every man for himself.
It ain't every man for himself. We're just not out there. Listen, I and I've been saying this to you before. I said this to you before a few times. Just because we're not out there marching with them does not mean that we're not trying to do anything. We can do everything we want to do, everything we need to do, without having to be out there marching all the time and protesting and all of that. Now, certain things I think we should be out there protesting about. But our strategies that we're working, we don't need to be out there. Oh my God, but one of that, you keep asking what's one of them is the simple economic boycott we got going on. You don't think that's gonna make a difference?
No. I think Jamal Bryant is doing a hell of a job. In spite of some of my misgivings about Jamal Bryant, I think Jamal Bryant has been a hell of a messenger to try to keep people on track. I don't even think we have. I would be surprised if we had 5% of the black people following what Jamal Bryant is saying. So if he just has, because he was only looking for 100,000 people, he was only going to say all he was like was 100,000 people show up, and 100,000 people. I think he's done a hell of a job, a hell of a job. I think our black legislators and congressmen and congresswomen have done a shitty job. If I can't expect you to be loud, why am I voting for you?
I'll say this.
What I see.
And one thing I say, the people who are black elected officials.
They did, Harriet. Go ahead.
Yeah, the black elected officials. One thing I say about them, they kind of have to be careful in how they frame things. Because you remember when what's her name? Jasmine Crockett said, for my birthday I want to boycott and blah 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 and all this and all. Remember she said that, and that idiot that's running the Justice Department. Well, I shouldn't say she's an idiot. She's not an idiot. Yeah, she's not an idiot. She's just I don't know how to put that. She's just that racist. Let me say it like that, because I don't think she's an idiot. I think she's just straight racist
and ambitious,
and an opportunist, and an opportunist. Yeah. But when she threatened Jasmine Crockett with investigation or whatever, Jasmine like, fuck you, I don't give a shit. Investigate all you want. I know what I said. I said exactly what I said. Now, Jasmine said one thing about boycotting Tesla. I think what Jasmine was doing doublespeak in terms of talking to black people. Listen, keep up the boycotts. That was the message to black people. Keep up the boycotts. But on the surface, boycott Tesla. The message to black folks, come on, keep boycotting. Keep boycotting. That's what that for those who paid attention, that's what I thought she was saying. That way she does not get any, because damn well if you get as a politician these days, if you frame anything that's directed toward black people or people of color, it's a big ass issue. Remember when Gavin Newsom came out with the state alert system that was specifically designed for black and brown people in California, the missing child alerts. I forgot what they call it, but it was basically the same thing as Amber Alert. And what he was saying was, when a black child or a brown child goes missing, it doesn't make it to the Amber Alert thing. I want to make sure that gets seen as well in California. So you remember the pushback you got from that? Why would you design something specifically for black people, for black and Latino people? Why would you do that? So we do what we always do. We say things a certain way that sends a message specifically to us. Remember Pig Latin? Remember that? That's what that was. That was cold. This is just politician code to speak to us. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm different from everybody else, and I know I am, but I think that was the message that was being sent to us. We don't have to advertise this where we using Pig Latin right now. They don't know what the hell we're talking about. They think we're talking about one thing, but we're talking about something else. Let's keep it up.
You believe
that's it? Huh?
You believe that?
I said it, didn't I?
Hey, man.
I'm not as cynical as you are, which is kind of ironic considering I was the one that was a cop.
They know more. Everything that we know, they know. And this is a totally
No, it's not. It is not.
You would say stuff like that without them giving me receipts. Why you believe that?
Why do I believe she was doing that?
Why do you believe that they don't know what we know?
Because they don't. They don't know. See, well, this is the thing. Like, what was I? I was listening to Karen Hunter yesterday.
Love Karen.
She was talking with the guy, Roderick Morrow, I think. Yeah, Roderick Morrow. They call him the black guy that tips or some shit like that. But anyway, not disrespect the man, but I think that's what I know it's written Roderick Morrow. But anyway, one of the things that she was talking about was how white people love to imitate stuff that we do, but they don't understand the flavor of what we're doing. Like you do the recipe, but you can't imitate how we do it. You follow the recipe, but you can't imitate how we do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but just because you don't like potato salad with raisins in it, don't mean they don't like potato salad with raisins in it.
True, they might not like it.
Okay,
I mean, they might like potato salad with raisins in it, but the point I'm trying to make is this:
they might decide to
subtlety.
come in. They might. I'll say this to you and Karen Hunter. They might like to come in and make potato salad and realize just a little bit of Lawry seasoning and raisins is great, and then take your Lawry seasoning and then market your potato salad and make a shitload of money. I personally think that other communities. I don't think this is just white people. I think that other communities. Nothing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What?
They don't know how. Wait a minute. We have too many. I want to read some of the comments. Don said it's insane. Let me put some of the. You've seen some of the comments too. I want to read some of the comments.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now.
The more Elon spoke about it, seems first Don said something that I didn't. This one. It is amazing to watch. Now, I understand if you can't trade it in. I get it. If it's your only car, you're down in your luck, and you brought a Tesla before all this started, and you're really not in a position to change, and you got to have that Tesla to get to work. I understand and I don't understand it. And after reading, I think Miss Robinson's book about the Montgomery bus boycott and the sacrifices that they really, really, really made to make it work, because I didn't know all the details and how they really made it work. I don't even know if I give them a pass anymore. Why would you want to be in Tesla knowing what this man is doing? Why would you want to even be seen as an African American? Those African Americans, to me, don't want to be seen as a part of the community until it's in their benefit. So I'll leave that one alone. That's just my that's just my thing. They don't know how else they get suckered by getting rid of fraud and waste. It's insane. All I'm saying is this, and I'm gonna leave it this. I'm gonna let you have the last word, because I haven't been convinced of this yet. And again, me and Marion talk about this job throughout the week all the time. First of all, I think we have way more clout on the economic stage than people say.
I didn't say we didn't. I said it's just the national economic stage. I'm not talking. I'm talking about global economics. And you talk about I'm equating. Well, I'm differentiating between global economic status and national economic status. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, I can respect that. Let me try to stay within that national economic status. I think African Americans have way more clout than we leverage.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I think that and if we were ever to be able to, as again, I quote him a lot. And the reason, and I tell people, the reason I quote Roland a lot, because Roland been doing this for damn near 30 years. He got all the information. He know where the body's buried. He can articulate it way better than I can. And I just don't believe in trying to reinvent the wheel. I'd rather rather regurgitate what he says, because typically he'd always right on point when I go back and look and say, hey, he's telling the truth. You go back and say, oh yeah, I see where he got the information from. I understand how he got it. So I just don't believe in always, black people, to me, they always want to reinvent the wheel. That's why we got so many goddamn churches. Because you think that you a better minister than the next person. It's just a business. Instead of going to join the church up the street and making that better, because you don't want to get in line. You one day want to be the top dog as the minister. Let's just have an honest conversation about it. I just am not a person that reinvents the wheel. I can find my own lane. And I think that when it comes to us, but those Boy Scouts work. Let me see what he says. I like what Don says. Also, the white women weren't letting their households go to hell over bus seating. They got the aspect of the employees, down the laws passing. They did not need. They need to feel the pain. Not according to Tina Robinson. Not according to Tina Robinson, the main architect behind the bus boycott movement. That's not what she said. Most of those people got to work because of black jitneys, black people carpools that they organized that would pick up at designated spots. So much so that they had people sending in station wagons from across the country to support them. That had no, it wasn't. There might have been a few white women that were doing that. That 98% of those people would get to their jobs strictly by other black people. Strictly by other black people, according to her book. Now take it for what it is. It's her words, not mine. They had a whole system in place that I didn't even know about, because she's the one that dragged Martin Luther King. She's the one that even identified Martin Luther King as the person that needs to lead this movement, because she thought he was young, 26, 27. She thought he was dynamic. And he didn't even know, according to her, that whether he wanted to get involved in it or not. He didn't even understand his power yet. She saw it before he did. So, so all I'm saying is, Don, I'll call you one day. Me and you'll be talking about that all day. That's obviously something we like. I just think that we have way more economic power. I think that I haven't been shown that we're willing to be uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable means that, we're going to make the sacrifice. We're going to fuck around and find out. We're going to really show y'all. And we haven't been willing to say we're going to give up some of these creature comforts to really show people. And the Montgomery bus boycott was all about showing people they were willing to be uncomfortable. Because people don't understand, the Montgomery boys boycott started on December 5th, 2 weeks before Christmas. 2 weeks before Christmas. Marion said I was there, the white women were not bucking their men. Not only did the Montgomery boycott affect the bus system, those black folks didn't even go down to the Montgomery stores, because, it was smaller, and shop at the shops. The shop owners were getting killed. They were the one putting pressures, but they were willing to be uncomfortable. They were willing to say, hey, it's not going to be a great Christmas. We aren't going down to the shop. We aren't getting on anybody's bus to go down to the shop. And this car system wasn't built to make sure people could go and shop. It was just built for them to get to work. So, hey, if that's the strategy, that's the strategy. We're going to see how it fares out over the next shit. Let's hope that he don't do anything to checkmate us in the next 6 months or the next 2 months. June is coming up fast approaching June. The midterms are pretty much starting in June. We're trying to hold them off until June. Let's hope the strategy works. That's all I can say. Go for it, Kenneth. That's all I got to say about it.
Okay. That's all I got to say about that. That's right. Jenny. All right, y'all, listen. I need to go because I got to cut my grass, y'all. My grass is looking atrocious, and I can't stand my grass not looking good, or at least low anyway. But anyway, hey, it's been a pleasure talking to y'all today. Very interesting discussion. We're gonna continue it next week. They are just do what you can, as always. Just do what you can. Do what you can. That's all we ask. Every little bit helps. It may not be the grand thing. We don't always have to do grand things to make a difference. Just remember that. Both, Marion, it's grass and weeds. Mostly weeds, though, unfortunately. Trying to get the grass. I'm going to do something today to make the grass come in. Anyway, so, y'all, have a good week. Be safe. And we'll see y'all next week. Deuces.
See y'all next week. Peace.